Hello guys, welcome to this video. In today's video, we are going to be solving CKAD mock exam number 2. So stay tuned and enjoy. Okay, so now that our environment is all set up, let's get started. Let's go to the first question. Create a deployment called my web app with image nginx, label tier frontend, and 2 replicas. Then expose the deployment as a node port service with the name frontend service on port 80 and node port 30083. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to first create deployment using a dry run imperative command. And then we'll go into that file and just add labels and edit the replicas. Also, what I'm going to do is add the service definition within the same file. So you can have multiple resources within the same file. I'll show you how in just a minute. So create my web app and image is nginx. So image nginx dry run equal to client YAML deploy.yaml. So this is the file name. I forgot to add the word deploy. Okay, now let's get into the file deploy.yaml. And first I'll go to the labels. So search for labels and add tier frontend, delete this next label that we don't need, and replicas will set it to 2. Okay, and then we'll add the node port service. So for the service definition, I will just copy it from the documentation. Go to the service and then search for node port. Type node port, and this is the whole definition file for node port. Let's copy that. Go to the end of this file. And when you are adding 2 definitions within the same file, you just add this kind of separator with 3 hyphens or 3 dashes, and then here you can add that. So let me bring this up a bit. Alright, so first here I'll change the name of the service name to frontend service. Under selector, I will give the same selector that we added for deployment. So in deployment, we added tier frontend as the label. So we are going to provide the same thing under selector here. So selector tier front end, and delete this next line, port 80, target port 80. We don't really need target port, it's optional, and we can remove all of these comments. And the node port is mentioned as 30083. So let's change that, 30083. All right, and now let's save it and create both of these resources. Perfect. Now we can move on to the next question. Add a taint to the node 01 of the cluster, use the specification below: app type, alpha, and no schedule. So I would go to I'll refer to the documentation and search for taint. And this is where you'll find the command for it. So nodes, and we want to add it for node 01, and key is app type equal to alpha, and then node schedule. Okay, so now we have tainted it. Now we have to add we have to create a pod with the toleration to that taint. So create a pod, krun. The pod name is alpha and image Redis. I'll add this flag restart equal to never. If you remember, we add this flag, so we only spin up a pod and not a deployment. And then try run equal to client YAML, and I will name this as redis.yaml. So let's go into the file. And look for the toleration here in the documentations, and then we have this. So let's copy this, and then under specification you can go ahead and add the toleration. As you can see, the indentation is not correct. Let me just quickly fix that. And the key will be the same one that we just added for the taint. It was app type alpha. Okay, so that is done. We can save the file and create this pod. Redis.yaml. And that is created. So when you just add toleration, it doesn't mean that it will be scheduled on the node that has the taint. It just has the toleration, but it can be scheduled on any of the node that is available. So even if you just do this, if you type this command and check, it might not necessarily be on node 01 because that's where we added the taint. In this case, it is on node 03, but it's okay. So let's go to the next one. Apply a label app type equal to beta to node 02 and create a new deployment called beta apps with image nginx and replicas 3. And then we have to basically set node affinity. So let's go ahead and do that. First, apply the label. So I'm going to use the command kubectl command for applying the label. Let me show that to you. Go to the reference. On the left hand side, you see there is a label here. Go to that, and instead of pods, we'll just give it node. So kubectl node 02, and then this is the label. So app type equal to beta, and there you go. So we have labeled it. Now we need to create a node affinity. So create new deployment called beta apps and image nginx. So once again, I'm going to generate definition file from this imperative command. Dry run equal to client YAML deploy.yaml. Okay, we'll go into that file now, and yeah, node affinity. So let's search for node affinity. Go here, and yeah, this is all we need. So let's take it from here, and we have to add it under spec. So make sure to do that. But if you notice it carefully, this is the spec of a pod and not a spec of deployment. As you can see, we have created a deployment, and there's one spec for the deployment, but there's another spec that is under pod. So we have to add over here. So not the first spec, the second one. Make sure the indentations are correct, because with YAML generally this is one of the biggest problems. Now I'll just fix all of my indentations. Okay, so I'm going to select everything that we just pasted until this SSD, and okay, so that is done, and now we just need to change the key and values. So go to the key, app type, operator in is okay, and then we can change here to beta, because that is the label we gave over there. Now I can save this and create this deployment. And now we can make sure that it is scheduled on node 2. So white, and as you can see, it is scheduled on node 02, but I think I've made one mistake here. We needed to create replicas, 3 replicas. I've only created 1, so there's no problem. Let's edit this deployment. Deploy beta apps, and if you search for replica, yeah, just change this to 3 and we should be good. This is one of the properties of deployment, that you can edit it on the fly. So now if you see there, you should have 3 pods running, beta apps, and all of them should be scheduled on node 02. As you can see, all of them are scheduled on node 02, so we are good to go. Yeah, so the next question is create a new Ingress resource for the service My Video Service to be made available at the URL that is given over here, and the specifications are okay. So basically we have the service which is already deployed, that is what I'm guessing, and you have to create an Ingress resource to expose it. So in this case, what we are going to do is first I'll search the documentation for Ingress. Here it is, and We need the one with the host path. Yeah, this is the one I'm looking for. And before I copy that, I want to make sure the service is there, and I want to make note of the port. Okay, get SVC. SVC is the short name for service, and it is on port 8080. So just make note of that. And now we will create this file and copy this whole snippet here. Actually, we just need one service, so we can copy only till here. Now let's go into the file and we will edit it. The name of this resource is not mentioned, so we can give it any name. So I'm going to give it video service. Okay, and the host we will copy from here, CKAD mockexamsolution.com. Let's go to the host. All right, and then we need to copy the path. Path should be video, and the port is 8080, and the name of the service is my video service. So, okay, foo video. Now the service name, service. And the service port is 8080, so let's change that. Oh, if you notice, I made a mistake there in the service port. Okay, it's supposed to be 8080, but because there's a lag in this environment, sometimes I tend to make the typos. Create So this resource is created. Now the way to check it is go to this URL, and we should expect some response there. Okay, so as you can see, we got a successful response. That means our solution is correct. Let's go to the next question now. We have deployed a new pod called pod with our probe. This pod has an initial delay before it is ready. So update the newly created pod with a readiness probe. Okay, so this pod, since this pod is already deployed in the cluster, we need to output it as YAML, create a file from that definition file, and then we will add readiness probe specification. So let's do that. Okay, get our pod with our probe, YAML, and then probe.yaml. And now I will search for readiness. Now the syntax for readiness and liveness probes are similar, so we can choose either one. I'm going to take this, and we need to add it under containers, so make note of that. I'm searching for image, and now under image, I'll add this, and so basically instead of readiness probe, let's make it, instead of liveness probe, let's make it readiness probe. the path is ready and the port is correct, 8080. So ready and 8080. Okay, we can go ahead and create this, but before we create, we need to delete this resource. So I'll add this flags grace period equal to 0 and force it so it kills the pod immediately. Oh, I made a typo here. And now we will create it from the file that we just generated. That is done. Let's go to the next one now. Create a new pod called nginx 1401 in default namespace with the image nginx. So I'll copy the name, then add a liveness probe to the container to restart if the command ls this fails. This check should start after a delay of 10 seconds and run every 60 seconds. Easy peasy. So let's do it. Okay, so we need to generate a pod. nginx try run equal to client OYAML and live.yaml. That's the name I'm giving. Now there was so this is the exact command that we need. Let's add that inside the under the containers. So containers under the name 1 2 3 4 and the command says ls something, right? So let's copy that path. And the check should start after a delay of 10 seconds and run every 60 seconds. Delay of 10 seconds. And it should run for 60 seconds. Run every 60 seconds. Okay, so I think we're good to go. Okay, create live from the file live.yaml. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Create a job called whalesay with the image docker whalesay and the command that's given here, and we need to add completions back off limit and restart policy never. Okay, so once again I'm going to use kubectl command for generating the job. Create job called whalesay, the image docker whalesay, and we will basically try run it. Oh, YAML. But we also need to pass the command, so let's copy the command. say I'm going to is CKAD. Yeah, and copy this into the file called job.yaml. Okay, so now let's go to that file and make whatever changes we want. I'm a bit confused about this, like it breaks it into an array of all of these commands. So I'm not sure if this will work, but let us see. Completions and back off limit. So completions. So these two properties should go under specification for the job itself, not the container. So completions 10 and then back off limit 6. Perfect. So let's save it. Okay. Create-f job.yaml. That is created. Let's go on to the next question. Create a pod called multipod with 2 containers. The first container's name should be Jupyter and the image is nginx. For container 2, the name is Europa, image is busybox, and we need to add command sleep 4800. And for both of the containers, we need to add environment variables type planet and type mode. So let's do that. Generate a pod create, not create. In this case, it will be run. Multipod, and the first image is nginx. Restart equal to never. Run equal to client YAML. And multi.yaml. Now let's edit this file. So the name has to be Jupyter. And we have to add environment variables. So the first one is type planet. 1, 2, 3, 4. Type. The name will be type, and the value will be planet. Okay, so for the next container, I'm just going to copy the whole specification here. And delete all of these lines which we don't really need. Okay, so in this case, the image will be busybox, and the name is Europa. Let me copy that. Europa, and the type is moon. Then we have to add command sleep 4800. So command sleep 4800. Okay, done. So now we should be good to go. And if we inspect the running pods, we will notice there are two containers and the containers are just coming up. So let's give it some time. Oh, okay, the containers are already running, so we are good to go. Let's go to the next one. And this is the last question. So create a persistent volume called custom volume. Let me copy the name and with the size 50 mi. Reclaim policy, retain access mode, read write many, and this is the host path. So I will right off the bat, I will just search for persistent volume. Persistent volume. Go to the syntax. Okay, so this is for the pod. You need to be careful. Yeah. So we need to edit all of these values till here. We don't really care about the other ones, so we'll just ignore it. Let's create a file called pv.yaml. Paste all of that. And now let's go into that file. So first the name custom volume. Custom volume. Size will be 50 mi. And it should be read write many. Reclaim policy should be retained, so let me also copy that. Perfect. So let's create the persistent volume from this file. And now we can click on end exam. So far, all of them are correct. Let's hope we get 100%. Awesome. So we scored 100%.